So this is a really good dish. It's basically a vegetarian dish. You can also add meat if you want to, but I wanted to stick to just a vegetarian option. I start the dish by just chopping some onion. One should be more than enough. I also decided to add a spring onion because that adds a bit more flavor and also adds a bit of texture and color to the dish. Okay, now I'm just gonna grab 3 carrots, wash them. I don't particularly like to remove the skin because that's extra fiber. Just make sure you give them a good scrub and clean them off. I'm gonna just cut the tips. For this dish, I'm slicing them quite thin because I want to put them in the dish with the marrows, so at the same time as the marrows, and so they need to be quite thin or else they won't cook in time. Okay, we're gonna now go on to the marrows. In this case, I've just decided to put 2 marrows in, but what I did want to do is make sure I chop them quite chunky. One to cook and remain crunchy while I manage to soften up the carrots, and secondly, I just wanted this dish to be a bit more chunky on vegetables rather than a sauce dish. I also had some celery, just added that as well for some extra fiber. I'm leaving these chunky too because, as you know, mushrooms tend to break down quite a bit when cooking, so the chunkier they are, the more they're going to be able to stay quite chunky when cooked. And it's time to cook. I'm just adding over there some tomato ingredients, which I will be adding soon when cooking. Okay, so I'm just going to heat a pan, add some oil. I'm going to start by frying a heaped teaspoon of chopped garlic. That's practically equivalent to 1 or 2 cloves. And then we're going to start by adding the onions and spring onions into the pan. Give them a good stir. We're going to add some parsley, and then we can go ahead and add the carrots. Mix them around, make sure that they are seasoned. These also need a bit more cooking, as we mentioned before, so I put them first thing. And just basically leave them to saute a bit. Okay, we're just gonna now mix them around. Look pretty much done. I'm just gonna pop the marrows. Can also pop the celery. Give them a mix. It's kind of looking like a stir fry, so we're gonna be leaving those to just soften a little up before we start off with the bulgur wheat and the sauce mixture. Okay, so just cover that up. I did leave some time, even though it looked like I just closed it, but that's basically about 5 minutes cooking with the lid on. I'm gonna add the vegetable cube. Just sprinkle it across. This should add quite a lot of flavor. You can also use chicken broth or vegetable broth. I didn't add that because I didn't want too much liquid in the dish. I'm literally adding the smallest amount of water just to create some steam, and that should help give some flavor to the vegetables. I will also be adding water at a later point, which you will see, but for the time being I'm trying to keep it as dry as possible. There goes the mushrooms, and these are just gonna be put last minute. They don't need much time. I don't want them to get too soft because they will have quite a bit of time cooking later. Okay. Veg is looking pretty much done, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add my 1 cup of bulgur wheat, give it a mix. I haven't added any liquid, so the bulgur wheat for the time being is going to be just absorbing any liquids that were left in the dish with the vegetables. Now I'm just gonna put my sauce in. In this case I'm using a very thin sauce, so it's a passata. It's about 550 ml. giving that a stir, so it is considerably dry now as a sauce, but we will be adding another cup of water to help cook the bulgur wheat. Okay, so once that's done, I'm just going to give it a mix, and now I'm just going to let it simmer to heat up the liquid ingredients that we've just added so the sauce can start to cook the remaining parts of the vegetables. Before closing it, I'm just going to add some smoked paprika. I love adding smoked paprika to most of my dishes, so this is something optional, you don't need to put it in. Just going to give it a mix. Drop it to low and basically let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Okay, so I'm just gonna take some curry, about a tablespoon, mix that in. That is our last seasoning in the cooking process, and that should be it. Give it a good stir, drop the heat. Okay, so once that's cooled down, I'm just gonna get 3 ramekins. This is my own option. You can use any bowl you like. I choose ramekins because it just kind of gives me an idea of how much I'm eating, and they're perfect portion sizes to take to throughout the day or when I go to work. Just very simple to just pick and go. Okay, once that's done, I'm going to make a couple of different ones to show you. My first one is in an egg, perfect for after the gym because bulgur wheat is quite filling, but I'll also be having my protein and it's not a super big meal. The next one is just going to be a simple cheese. And the third one is going to be a cheese and chili. I love chili, so for me this is the top choice. I'm just gonna sprinkle some crushed chilies. You can put fresh chilies too. And that's pretty much it. I am literally just gonna pop them into the oven for approximately 5 minutes on high heat. So in they go. Whoop, whoop. And out they come. That's pretty much it.